Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Thank you very much for joining me. You are always most welcome. I'm trying to actually get in the frame here because I'm being completely squeezed out by the start of the show today, which is definitely not me. This absolutely incredible, huge behemoth of an aircraft model. And of course it's the Antonov An225 Mriya, which is Ukrainian for dream, or sometimes it's translated as inspiration. Now I have to tell you, there's a little elephant in the room straight away here. For some reason Revell have used the J, which I understand is not correct. Now whether that's a Russian pronunciation, perhaps the less said about that the better, but that's not correct. It should be a Y, Mriya. Mriya is the way they pronounce it, and it should be a Y and not a J, and you can look it up. Anyway, now then. The situation is this. This is just an astonishing aeroplane. It's basically the biggest, heaviest aircraft the world's ever seen. There is a slightly bigger one in terms of wingspan. Just came out 2-3 years ago. The Strato Carrier, is it called? It's one of these things that's a lift carrier, a bit like Virgin Atlantic use, but it's not a regular aircraft. So let's just call this the biggest plane in the world ever, in real terms, that can be regularly used as a normal aircraft. And it's based on the An225 airliner, which is a 4-engined, smaller version of this with a conventional tail and elevators. And this is this absolutely enormous aircraft with 6 engines, with this huge sort of V-style split tail. I'll explain why that is in a moment. And it's even, you'll see, it's basically been used for all sorts of astonishing applications. That basically it's a vehicle that you hire when no other vehicle will do. So I'm going to quote you a few facts now. The aeroplane, the numbers are astonishing. I've had to write them down because I never remember this. It's just mind-boggling numbers. So it's got an airframe weight of the actual aircraft's weight is 240 tons. Which is just ridiculous. It makes the Galaxy and Starlifters from the USA look like minnows. It's got a capacity, a payload capacity, lifting weight, that it can take in its cargo hold 250 tons, which is way more than anything else. I mean, this has been used for some astonishing applications. I've seen myself videos, you can see them on YouTube. I actually first really got enthusiastic about this plane about 18 months ago when it was on, I think, Jerry Dyer's Big Jet TV. I'm sure you know the channel, it's very popular. He does a lot of aircraft videos at places like Heathrow and East Midlands and Lakenheath and places like that. Especially in the winds when you get the Heathrow bad weather. It's quite entertaining. But he had an article on it, a video he did at East Midlands Airport, where there were another unique application for this aircraft. This massive plane came in, and he got it the day before, and then the next day he was there again, and they were loading some kind of industrial transformer onto it, which looked, well, it was absolutely massive. I mean, the plane swallowed it no problem, but it looked like a railway carriage, like a railway train. That's what it looked like. And it was on this, they have this special, because the front of the aircraft lifts up, we'll talk about this in more detail later, but front of the air, and it's loaded through the front only, but they have to special runners and special rails to load things on. Very heavy duty, obviously, very industrial. And they were doing this. And I've also seen pictures of it taking railway trains. It's taking Formula One, not cars, but entire teams. And I'm not exaggerating. I think there's about 2010, 2011. I think it took could be wrong, give or take a year, but they took the entire Formula One Renault team, and I think it also took the Lotus team when they were actually 2 separate teams. And it took, I think, 2 entire Formula One teams' trucks. And that's a lot if you see the gear that they have, these enormous Pantechnicon trucks, and it swallowed the lot. I think they were dual down the aircraft. Absolutely unbelievable. I was astonished. Anyway, a few more facts and figures for you. Wing area is massive. It's got a wing area total of 905 square metres, which is about 3.5 tennis courts. That's a lot of lift area. And you're probably wondering why it has this appearance with the humps on it. And well, if you don't know, this aircraft was actually developed in the early 80s, and it was really primarily developed to be the only solution at the time for carrying the Soviets' version of the space shuttle, the Buran. And they needed it to basically piggyback on the top, and this is why they ended up with this strange different tail design. They wanted to split the tail away so the aerodynamics are not affected by the shuttle being in the way of the tail and the tailplanes. So this is why they spread out. I mean, the wingspan, or the tail span I should say, is as bigger than most, you know, small executive jets. It's so massive. It's almost like you know, a 737 wingspan. Incredible, absolutely amazing. And the humps here are where the shuttle would actually attach to the aircraft. So it's quite a critical area. Of course, when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1989, basically it became redundant. The Buran program was abandoned, of course, because there was no money for it anymore. It wasn't really needed. And the aircraft was mothballed for a number of years, and it was sort of resurrected in the new century, because in Ukraine, of course, it's based in Kiev at Hostomel, and the Ukrainians realised that there was a demand for this aircraft. There was actually two prototypes. This one, 82060, and the second one was never complete because of the collapse of the Soviet Union, the lack of money. The second one was not ever completed. Now, we'll come back to that second one later. I'll give you some more figures and facts because it is quite astonishing. It needs quite a big runway because though it's got a lot of braking power, its engine's got reverse thrusters, you know, and it's got a lot of brakes. It's actually got a lot of wheels as well, which you'll see later. Absolutely astonishing. It's got 32 wheels, this plane. I mean, it's like a railway carriage in terms of wheels. It needs an airport runway, a minimum length of 3,000 metres, and it came into, I mentioned East Midlands, I think that was a bit of a squeeze for it actually. It also came into Prestwick a couple of times, but Prestwick's got quite a long runway. So in terms of dimensions, the plane is 84 metres in length, making it the longest plane ever. I think the only thing that comes close is that Akranaplan, the water plane. That's not really a plane, is it? Ignore that. And it's got a wingspan of 88 metres. It's absolutely massive. It's got 46,000 cubic feet capacity in the cargo hold, which is, as I mentioned about the Formula 1 teams, it just swallows stuff up. And it's got a maximum takeoff weight overall, loaded with fuel, of 640 tonnes. I mean, these figures are just, I just can't quite get my head around them. They're almost meaningless because they're so crazy. You've got these 6 jet engines. It's the Iveco Process D turbofan engine. And that's kind of the main features of the aircraft. Now, this model is very special. It's not owned by me. It's loaned to the channel by Mr. Paul Hunter from Harrogate in North Yorkshire. And this is one of many models he's recently loaned us. And this one, I have to tell you, is brand new and factory sealed. So it's incredibly nice of him to actually, he's got the price on as well. €126 it cost him. So I think it retails in the UK, recommended retail, about £110. It's kind of right, isn't it? And it's kit number 04958. I think before we go further, I should just make the statement that I know you're all waiting to hear, and that is, of course, that this aircraft sadly is no more. It's one of the reasons I'm wearing my black watch to go with this video, because I thought it was a bit of a sad story. We've had the Concorde, and that's a sad story, of course. This is even sadder, really, because of course it was pretty much one of the very first victims of the war in Ukraine on the 24th/25th of February, and was hit in its hangar by an airstrike on Hostomel Airport, which is where the Antonov factory is, of course. Now, I mentioned there is a second aircraft which wasn't finished as a full airframe. They reckon there's about 70% built, and I think when I say built, constructed, it's not actually all put together, so it's a bit like a kit, really. Anyway, there has been a couple of statements have come out from the Ukraine government in the last couple of weeks, actually, and they've said, obviously at the moment the pressure seems to have been relieved off that part of Kiev and the north of Ukraine in this terrible war that's going on there. And anyway, the Ukrainian government have said that they intend to now take this aircraft that's half built and build it up. and they reckon it's going to cost 6 billion with a B US dollars, and they intend, allegedly they said they want to bill the Russian government for the cost of replacing it. Well, that's a lot of politics, obviously, which we don't want to get into, but so there is some hope that it's not gone forever, you know. I mean, I put the title, you know, The End of the Dream, which I thought was a great title and very apt for this rather sad thing, you know. If you've ever seen this thing fly, it is astonishing. It is just amazing. It was such a joy, you know. A bit like watching the Vulcan. It was just unique, you know. But this really was unique because there's only one of them. Anyway, without further ado, we'll leave the politics for other people to decide on in the future. I think we should have a look at this, and I have to be extremely extra careful for Paul because this is brand new, this kit. It's just arrived, it's just come from the shops, and I say it's factory sealed, so let's get into it. Now he's not seen the contents himself, so let's have a really good look. Now it's going to be tricky because it's massive, as you can tell. I mean, I've not zoomed you in much because you'll just be lost. So let's have a look on the side here. Being very gentle. Let's bring you in and let you see what we have. We have a description, I think, which might be worth a little read. See if it ties up with what I've been saying. Where is it? Here we go. A replica model of they're still spelling it wrong, of the Antonov An225 Mriya. It is not only the largest aircraft in the world with a length of over 84 metres, but it's the only one with 6 engines. Originally developed to transport the Soviet space shuttle Buran, the only machine of its type that now flies the heaviest loads around the globe. Sorry, I should have actually said. It's done a lot of mercy missions as well. It did some disaster relief in, I can't remember the country now. I think one was in the Caribbean. And of course it also went to China during the pandemic of COVID. And it brought back hundreds and thousands of tons of PPE and safety equipment for treatment of people all across Europe. So it's really been a real asset to the world, and it's a terrible loss, I have to say. Anyway, going back to here, it says it can hold the highest total weight of freight transported in the air, they say, 247 tonnes. And the largest single item of freight, 190 tonnes of a single item. It's got over 110 world records, this aircraft. Endurance, weight capacity, size of freight that it's actually carried, its physical capacity inside in terms of volume, etc, etc. Goes on and on. Total takeoff weight 605 tonnes. Well, they actually said 640. I think they're a little bit out. Revell have got one or two little issues with their figures. The kit lets you decide between 4 construction options: replica cockpit, detailed cargo hold with cladding, 2 deck cranes and ladders, separate nose segment, detail nose ramp. Hey, sounds good. Undercarriage optionally retracted or extended. Detailed undercarriage base, 32 undercarriage wheels. Detailed engines, decal set, and detailed decorative stripes. Complete with a phone number. They're touting for business if you look on it. It says, ring this number if you need us, sort of, for freight. I shouldn't laugh because it's not funny now. It's no longer there, sadly. But anyway, let's get you into these photos. I can try and get them without reflection. I might just cut the light a bit for this. Let's bring you in a bit. Here we go. Now, can you see that? Yeah, here we go. So, there's the 6 engines we spoke of. Here's part of your 32 wheel set, which is just this astonishing. So it's got seven axles per side. Absolutely incredible, isn't it? And then finally you've got the ramp, and the nose lifts up, and you've got your loading ramp showing how it complete the ramp at the front that aids access for wheeled vehicles. And there it is in its completed state. Very nice kit. On the other side, hard to manoeuvre this one, I'll tell you. This is the biggest kit I've reviewed, actually. This side it just shows, rather unattractively, it shows a collection of sprues. I don't know why they show photos like that, Revell. It's a bit odd, isn't it, really? Anyway, without further ado, obviously it's 144 scale. 227 parts. It's not too bad, is it, for a big kit like this? And it's got a total kit size just under 59 centimetres in length and a wingspan of 61 centimetres. So you need a big cabinet. And this is only at small scale, you know, it's massive. Let's get into it anyway, enough talk. Let's do the looking, and I'm going to be very, very gentle. Made in Poland, by the way. It says Revell 2018. Right, I'm going to be extra gentle here. So, Paul, just look away. Just look away and don't feel the incisions going in. There we go. Whoops. Gently does it. There you go. Couldn't be any gentler than that, can we? It's so big it's knocking things over. Right, and we're almost there. And the last one, there we go. Right then, live, we're in. Here we go. Pray for me, I'm going in. One of these. I actually do prefer these lift-top boxes rather than the usual Revell offering with the end-ending box, which are just hideous, aren't they? Wow, right, okay. I'll gently put that down over there. Make sure it doesn't fall anywhere. We've got lots of bags, going to have to be opened. I know that Paul said to make sure I get a really good, long, lingering look at them so he can really absorb it himself. Oh, it's just huge. Massive. And we've got massive instructions, we've got massive decals. And we've got, it's actually a reinforced box as well. That's really nicely done actually. Good box. Best Revell box I've ever seen, that. No question. Right then. Now, actually, how am I going to do this? I think I'm going to have to... I can't have them on the desk like this. It's going to completely get in the way. So I shall have to do it. You'll have to bear with me here a little bit. It's a bit of a logistical nightmare. Right there. Start with the biggest one, I think. But of course, instructions first. Well, if I tell you what, we'll do decals. That's what I normally do first, isn't it? Look at the size of this decal sheet. Here we go. Right then. Here we go. And it's upside down. Let's try and get the right way. Here we go. Printed in Italy for Revell by Dacre. Well, I think that's another name for cartographs. I think you can take it as read. Yes, just to prove my point, there's no J here, is there? I know they have the Cyrillic type writing, but there's no J. I don't know where Revell got the J from, that's completely wrong. Anyway, it's got these lovely graphics that they have in the Ukraine colours, and you can see that it's got this thing with the phone number saying phone number, fax number and email number if you want to contact them in Kiev. Sadly, I wouldn't bother ringing that number anymore, I'm afraid. The people are there, but the plane isn't. Well, I hope the people are there, let's put it that way. You've got all sorts of the doorways and lots of stencils, as you can see. And some really quite attractive, pretty Ukrainian markings with the national colours on, which looks very nice indeed, I've got to say. They look super, they really do. So we'll pop that aside safely over there. That's it. And then let's have a look at what have we got? Mriya. Usual thing at the front, a couple of pages that are a bit of a waste of time really. And then we get into the sprue. So a couple of pages there. Actually, there's not that many sprues, all things considered, based on that. And now there's 4 versions. Hey, look at this. So you get version 1, which is in flight. I'm not sure how you're supposed to display it, but version 2, where it's on the ground with the gear down. Version 3 is on the ground, gear down, with the nose up. And version 4, best of all, the blue one, has got the ramp out the front as well. So here we go then. And you can see here we've got the ramp. You build up your... is it the ramp or is it the floor? I think it's the cockpit floor. A couple of sections there of starting with that. And then you're building up the basic, the upper, the roof, if you like, of the actual internal cargo area. Then you've got the floor with all its rail system for them winding in the freight back and forth. You've got all the cladding at the side, which is really good. Then we've got the actual cockpit section that's going to be going in. Is is that one piece? Is that cockpit? Yeah, the cockpit actually, complete with its seats, is all moulded in one. That's slightly disappointing, I would have thought. Not sure about that. You've got to paint it up, but it's just one piece, so you're not sure about the detail. But of course it's small, isn't it? You've got to remember the cockpit is small. Then you've got your gear bays that are going to be going in here, getting ready for the wheels. And then you've got many gear legs. A lot of repetition here. If you don't like repetition, you better look away right now, because you're not going to like this. You've got all the hydraulics and the arms, actuation arms. What's that? Pop then. I just pop the bag. Hydraulic actuation arms and the gear legs themselves. So then you're putting in those bays, and then you're going to fit these sections that have actually got the wheel gear legs on top of it, and that's going to go and be put in situ. And then you've got some work to do, little windows on the inside of the fuselage, both sides, several windows to put in there. Here we've got, this is at the front of the loading bay, I think, where the nose is, and you're going to just do some preparation work, telling you where to glue to actually then insert the internal freight bay, the luggage area, and basically fit that into the side of the fuselage, and then you bring your other fuselage side on afterwards. It's all fairly clear, this, I've got to say, it's easy to follow. Then you're building up, and you've got your cockpit area there, which has got the glass in, which I hope is going to be nice. And then you start with the like a top spar section for the top mounting of the inboard part of the wing and the spine of the plane, which runs to the back. There's another spar for the tail, which is a good plan. Then you've got like a lower spine underneath between the gear. Then you're bringing your wings together around the spar, which you can probably see there is, yeah, that's quite a good design actually. It should give it good strength, I think, having this spar system. And then same on the other side. And then you're building up your vertical stabilisers and your tail planes with this massive, huge sort of split tail. And again, it's got spar, so it should be nice and strong. And then we'll bring them all together, gluing it up, shows you exactly how to align it, like so. Then we've got the two little humps on the back, which are actually the legacy of the shuttle, the Buran shuttle. And then you're building up your Ivchenko Progress D turbofan jet engines, putting them in place. And there's, again, a lot of repetition here because you've got 6 of these to do, so there's lots and lots of work. Internal, external, looks quite nice. We'll have to have a look at the plastic, but it looks pretty good based on these instructions. Looks quite straightforward to build. And then you've got lots of little spines, and you've got actuator fairings for the wings, operate the flaps and the ailerons, as you can see. They've got to go in quick as you like, and there's quite a few of those, of course. And again, then you're going to finally fit these engines. Okay, both sides, so 6 slots to go in. Then you're going to build your front gear bay. And this has a twin, very unusual, a twin double nose wheel steering nose wheel section, like a tandem system, side by side, very unusual. Then you've got your nose itself being glued together there. Then you're going to put in this the nose gear bay, and finally put your nose on. And of course, this is where you've got the options of having it open or shut. So you've got to pay close attention here to which version you're doing. Otherwise, you might end up gluing it up the wrong way and not be able to actually open it. Or conversely, you might, find you've put in components for having it open that you don't need. So do be careful to make sure you look at this guide at the top, the blue or the red version here, and that will give you clear instruction as to how to do it. And then here you've got your actual legs themselves for the front gear going in, and then you've got you can have them retracted or out, and it shows them both ways. When it's in the blue version, it has the aircraft tips down at the front, and these legs actually retract forward to like a nose lift, like you get on a sports car. So that again has got to be paid close attention to make sure which version you're doing, because if you're having it with the ramp out, then those legs have to be folded forward thus. Then you've got the internal ladders, you've got the gear bay doors, front and rear, as you can see. And then we get on to the really repetitive thing, which is the gear wheels themselves, the wheels and tyres. So first of all, you've got these are the front ones, so you've only got 4 to do there. You can see how it's this tandem style, can't you? Twin. Absolutely amazing. And then having it either down or in this sort of lying forward position where it lays forward, allowing the aircraft to tip forward on its ramp. And then I'm afraid you've got many wheels to put on. So as I said, there are 32 wheels. That's going to be a lot of, quite a lot of repetitive work in this kit, I think. Then we're going to have the support hydraulic struts that open the nose for access to the luggage compartment, freight area, internal stowage, and then you've got this ramp that comes down at the front. That's got to be glued in. There's a lot of detail. It's good, isn't it? I'm impressed with this. I can see why it's expensive, in fairness, because there's a lot of parts, and they've thought it out, giving you lots of options. Looks great with the ramp out. I think that's the way to go. It would look brilliant with that. maybe have it so you've got the option to don't glue it, and you can have either shut or open. And then we've got there's like the ramp alternative. You don't have it actually down and out unfolded. You can have it folded up, look, because that's the way it retracts when it goes back in. Very good that they've included that. And then you've got a few pitos and things going on here. And then finally you've got the view of what it looks like with the nose up but the ramp lowering or lowered. It looks great lowered, doesn't it? I'd go for that one, maybe. But anyway. And then finally, zoom back a bit. Finally, you get all your stencil markings and decal markings here, which are really nice. It's not overly stenciled. It's not like a Phantom. It's for the size of the model. It's not bad at all, actually. I thought there'd be a lot more than that. Lots of nice Ukrainian markings, and some cracking detail. So it's a nicely liveried aircraft, actually. I have to say, it looks very pleasant. Or did look very pleasant, I should say. Sadly. And then you've got a few other stencils, and it just gives you advice about the colourings, colour call-outs underneath. There we have it. So, I have to say that the Revell instructions are much nicer than some of the other older ones we looked at recently, where we had the old Revell showing this clock thing and a lot of silly ideas they used to have. These new ones are really rather good. Nice and clear, to be fair. So, credit where it's due, there's nothing wrong with that. Let us have a look at the plastic then. And it's taped up. That's good news. I don't have to cut it. That's great for Paul. That's great for Paul. We're not going to cut it if we don't have to. It says that, and they always make it really hard to undo it. So this is going to be a little bit tricky, I think. But I'm going to persevere. I'm just going to undo the tape. I'm not going to cut anything if I can avoid it. I don't like cutting other people's bags open at the best of time. But this must be seen. I'm going to have to zoom you out for this now. Zoom back. Oh yeah, there we go. Ta-da! Look at that. Oh my word. Oh, a little broken sprue there. Look at that. That's massive, isn't it? Okay. It's sort of dwarfing me. Some nice detail on the surface. I have to say, I've said this before in my recent other reviews, I don't like white plastic at the best of times. Why can't they put it in grey? It's a nightmare to see. It's hard to see the imperfections. The light bounces right off it. So I'm not a fan of the white plastic, but apart from that, it looks pretty good. So we've got the starboard side of the fuselage here. Then you've got your tail vertical stabilisers here. Seems to have the rudders already built in, so they're not posable rudders. That's a bit disappointing. I thought they would be. Is that right? I thought the rudders would move. Anyway, it seemed not. Seemed to be fixed. And then you've got them here at this end. I know Paul said to try and get in nice and close so you can see all the detail. Doing my best, Paul. It's just You've probably seen it better than I am, even though it's not great. To my eyes, at this range, it's really hard to see anything. But it's there. There's very fine panel lining. It's nicely engraved. It's above average for Revell, I'd say this is, and I'm glad to say that because it's an expensive kit, so it should be, you know. But this is better than their usual standard, I think. Here we go. See if we can, there we are. So these are the humps where the shuttle Baran used to ride on top. And then on this side, turn it upside down, now we've got the front of the aircraft and the cockpit area. So you see what I mean about the cockpit, it is tiny, isn't it? Even though it's a huge model. Yeah, there's a lot of nice detail there, there's nothing to fault at all, really. Yeah, nice. And a nice bag to go back in, hopefully. It doesn't stick and start causing problems. We'll be getting that in nice and easy, he says. Not as easy as you think it's going to be, that's the problem. Well, that's gone in fairly easy. Right, so that's that one. Bear with me because I need to organise these so we don't get them in the way of each other. Next one. Sorry, let's zoom you back. So, now we've got the wings. It's just got one piece of tape on it. I do prefer the tape bag, I have to say. It makes it a lot quicker access as well. Instead of you having to watch me trying to cut. Right, we've got the wings. Look at the size of them. Massive, aren't they? Jeez. Nice detail here, even though again I'm struggling with the white. Yeah, why can't they put it in the pale grey plastic? I don't understand it. I suppose it's because it's a white plane, they want to try and make it easy for you to paint it. Maybe put a white primer on, you know. You can see all the positions where the actuator arms go in the fairings here. There's the tail planes, nicely detailed. But we haven't got ailerons, or have we? Does that come later? It doesn't seem to have separate ailerons. I'm going to check that on my instructions again, if I missed it. I think I was going through it a little bit quickly and didn't pay enough attention to that. Let's see again. No, I'm afraid. Yeah, I'm afraid that one small disappointment. I mean, the white's just annoying, but it's not actually disappointing. It's not a physical problem, but there's no ailerons or moving control surfaces, which is a bit of a disappointment for a kit that's over £100. I know it's a... They could have incorporated some ailerons, couldn't they, or flaps. I'm a little bit surprised at that, if I'm honest. So that I'm going to lose a mark for that, I think. Oof, a little bit of a... Yeah, they're just fixed. It's a little bit of a blow, that. Yes, okay. I hope that's not distressing Paul too much, because he said he hadn't seen it. Got a few parts that are trying to leave the sprue. We don't want that to happen. Yeah, and they're not. The panel lines are quite shallow as well. They're almost a little bit matchbox-like. They're not trench-like, but they are fairly shallow. And I would have liked to have seen a bit more distinction around the flaps and ailerons, if I'm honest. Anyway, let's move on. We will continue. It's a lot of kit though, there's no doubt about that. Huge. It's the biggest kit I think I've reviewed this. Now then, the spine and the other part of the wing, the other wing, I should say. Gentle. It's a better system this, really. You don't end up damaging anything when you take it in and out. You can always remove the tape and cut it off. You say, I won't be doing that. Not being my property. Come on, who's going to do that? Oh, that's nice. Yeah. Yeah, the moulding's good, you know, it's just a bit... I mean, for the scale, actually, I think it's good. I think it's good. I've got to be careful because I'm forgetting, because it's big. I'm thinking it should be more detailed, but you've got to remember this is 1/144th scale. So they wouldn't be very deep and they wouldn't be that big at this scale, would they, I suppose? See what you think. Bring you in here. So here we've got the tail planes, the horizontal stabilisers, I should say. There we go. And then here we've got This is the spine here, the top spine. It has all these sort of like radar bulges, and presumably they've got instrumentation and all sorts of stuff in there, communications equipment perhaps. And then here you've got this is the top of the sort of wing root, the inboard wing area, top of the wing. Quite a good design in the way that they've conceptualised it, I think. I don't think that's a bad idea at all. And this is where you actually fix the cross spars in, and it does say Revell 2018 inside as well. Again, I'm just a bit disappointed they couldn't have put some flaps on this. I would have liked to see flaps and ailerons, I really would. Because when you see it coming in, you see those flaps down, it's a monstrous sight, you know. An amazing aeroplane it was. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it, there's no flash or anything horrible like that. It's all nice and clean and sharp and crisp. It's just a bit, perhaps a little bit underwhelming. But I say, you have to bear in mind the scale effect. You know, we get used to big kits, and we you know, in our mind we think it's like a 48 scale. Well, it's not, of course. It would be more subtle than that. I know in my video recently about Concorde, I suggested that my Airfix Concorde was a 48 scale at the start. I realised and corrected myself later, but of course that would be absolutely 72nd scale is the scale it is, which is big enough. So it fills this table, no problem. Right then, go. This is where it gets a bit repetitive there with lots of parts. So this is where we've got the cargo loading area, and yeah, again I would just like to have seen it. I can't decide if I'm right or I'm wrong. I just think it's a little bit underwhelming in terms of the depth of the impression. I'm worried that when you get paint on this, get some focus would be good. When you get paint on it, I'm just worried it's going to disappear some of this detail a little bit. It's a bit fine. So this is the floor, and then this is, I think, the roof. I think I'm right in saying this is the roof section of the loading bay, cargo bay. And then you've got lots of little ladders, which are quite nice. Several of them. Maybe a little bit of flash here. No, nothing serious, nothing serious. Then we have got the other, the side walls, so to speak, of the loading bay here. And you can see it's got the ribs on the side, which is very realistic. That's quite nice. And then there's a couple of sections that I think are from the. This is the gear bay. You can see you've got all some hydraulics in there for the landing gear for these sections. So as I said, there's seven gear arms per side, so 14 in total. And of course, each leg has got 2 wheels on it. And then there's 4 at the front, so that makes up the 32 in total, 32 wheels. Yeah, it's nice. Again, maybe a little bit underwhelming. I can't see any problems. There's no silly ejector pins where there shouldn't be. Is that an ejector pin? Yes, there is. Yeah, we have actually got a couple here. Can you see this? Bring you in a bit. Just a couple of ejector pins, nothing too bad, but on these 2 pieces where my fingers are now, with the black behind, if you look very carefully, there's an ejector pin there and there. I thought it was a hatch for the door, but it isn't. It's an ejector pin mark. I'm not sure about its positioning. You may not see it. It may be either side of a bulkhead. You may only see it on the opposite side, in which case it'd be fine. Now we get to the nightmare. Oh, no. No, this is serious. This is a lot of stuff. Okay. Many gear legs. Now I've got to be fair to Revell, they've done this very cleanly. Normally you get to parts like this and they are horrible. But no, these are clean, very sharp. A clean mould. They don't seem to be affected by any significant flash. Just look at the number of wheels. God, it goes on and on and on and on. 32 of them. God. Oh, there's more over here as well, look, more. Jeez. So I think these 2 at the top, the nose wheel, the 4 that go on the nose wheels, the twin nose legs. It's very unusual, isn't it, to have them side by side like that. And then we've got the other internal cladding on the inside of the cargo bay there, and a couple of bulkheads, the gear bay doors, that's the front gear bay internals here. Yeah, it's nice, you know. Again, there's ejector pins there on the doors, which are a bit nasty. Are they going to be seen? No. No, it's not the doors, I don't think. That's not going to be seen on that side, it's fine. You'll only see this side, I believe. So that's okay. Very nice. And then you've got this is the mechanism here on the right. It's like an X. This is the thing that holds up, the hydraulic system that holds up the, powers the door of the nose, makes the nose raise. Very nice. Actually, I mean, in fairness, there's nothing wrong with these screws. They're really clean and they're almost not Revell looking, if you know what I mean. I think there is a piece has drifted off the sprue, but it's remained in the bag, I've got to say. Let's make sure it stays there. Now, there we go. Not too many to go now. One more bag plus the clear parts we've got. Sorry, I keep having you looking at the wall, which is not very attractive. Sorry about that. I've had to move, because it's so big, I had to move the positioning of the camera for this one. And, have a bit of a wider angle shot. Otherwise, we wouldn't all fit in. Certainly a monster, isn't it? What a huge kit. Not as huge as the real thing, though. Past tense, you know. I do hope they rebuild it, because it was such a lovely plane, really, and it became a celebrity. I was watching a video about it a few days ago, and it was saying that when it turned up in Sydney, I think it was, it rocked up in Sydney, and 15,000 spectators came out to see it. That's how popular it was. That was about 18 months ago, I think. Oh, we've got. Oh, she's trying to leave the sprue. Oh, that's the spine. It's desperately trying to leave the sprue. See, this is the trouble with Revell. They're not often very strong on the sprue. It might drop off at any minute. Yeah, that's another one that's very, very weak looking. Oh, it feels like it's about to go. Jeez. I might effect a tiny repair on one or two of these parts, Paul, before I send it back to you, just to help it stay intact. Yeah, because it's come off both those. Oh, it's only held on by one point. Oh, it feels like it's going to go any moment. I know it is. It's the spar. Anyway, but look at these, the lovely... oh, don't drop off, don't drop off. Here's your engines on their housing. Oh, it's a bit of a shame they're all in one piece. I would have liked to have seen that a bit separate. And again, they've gone sort of a bit rudimentary with the fan intakes for the jet engines. Again, this very tiny cockpit area, can you see what I mean now? That's all pre-moulded, the seats are in place and everything. So there's nothing to do, and there's no pilot in it, which is another slight disappointment, if I'm honest. But it's nice, you know. It's a kit I'd like to build, I've got to be honest. Yeah, it's just a bit... I think maybe the white plastic does it no favours. I think if it wasn't white plastic, perhaps I wouldn't be complaining so much about the way it looks on the surface, because I think it would be a little bit, perhaps a bit more impressive, but they do insist on this white plastic, don't they, some of these kit manufacturers. Here's your internals for your jet engines, and you've got your, I think it's the rear fan blade, is it? No, sorry, those I've just said were the intakes fan blades, were not. That was the exit fan blade. Here's your actual, they're quite nicely moulded, aren't they? They're quite nicely moulded. Yeah, I like those. Your engine bell housing. And then you've got your various fan blades here. And then you've got all these actuator arm fairings for the actual control surfaces, of which there are many. And there would be, wouldn't there? And there we go. Yeah, I have to say the moulding of the parts, there's not faulty in any way. Just I can't quite put my finger on it. I think the white's really not helping. It's just underwhelming, really. I knew that was going to happen. It was always going to come off, wasn't it? It was so frail, that was. Oh dear. I'll see if I can get that back on for you, Paul, but beware, because several of these sprues are they haven't really designed them very well, and they're very delicate indeed. And I couldn't have been any gentler with that one, to be honest. Anyhow, let's get that back in there. Only more parts to part. Come on, you can do it, here you go. Go on, go on, go on, go on, go on. We've got to get in there. There you go. It wasn't so difficult in the end. Anyway, we'll leave that on one side because I think that needs to go back on the sprue. And then finally, it's just a bit of debris, don't worry. Finally, we've got the clear parts. I think it's a nice kit. There's nothing I don't like or I really hate about it at all. Just, I don't know, I just feel they could have had a bit more surface detail, and especially with those control surfaces, that's disappointed me a little bit. Here we go. So here is and it's a nice clear part, very nice. This is the nicest clear part I've seen in a week or two. Not helping with my background here, but we'll soon fix that, don't worry. There you go. How's that? Now that is nice. They've actually moulded that beautifully. It's very small as a windscreen for a big jet, but it's actually very, very clear and a nice piece of plastic. And then you've basically just got all those little windows I talked about at the beginning that go in various viewing ports down the fuselage of the aircraft. So there we have it. I think it's a very nice kit. I think they could have made it a little bit nicer. It's not lacking in any one sort of major area or having any glaring problems. It's just a little bit underwhelming in places, I think. For the money, would I spend £110 on it? Probably not. Got it cheaper than that. I have seen it, actually, I did a quick search. I mean, I don't know what Paul actually paid for it, in fact. But although we haven't got a price on there, that may not be the price he paid. I don't need to know that really, but I have seen it as cheap as about £85. I think it was on eBay. Somebody had it at £85, which I thought was, yeah, £85 sounds a lot more reasonable. I think over 100. I think it's not Revell's most spellbinding kit in terms of the execution, but there's nothing wrong with it. And I think if you give it a really good paint job, getting away from this white plastic is part of the problem. I'm not sure if you've been able to. You've probably got a better appreciation of it than I have. And when I watch this video back, I'll probably be able to see better then what it's like. But it's very hard on the eye, especially under my bright lighting. Very hard to see detail on the surface, and it's a little bit. I think it's a bit, under detailed. I think it's a bit simplistic and a bit old school in a way. But it's a beautiful kit. It's big. It's a beautiful subject, and such a sad story that it's no longer around. I do hope that Ukraine is able to resurrect this from this other three-quarter built aircraft, which they are saying they're going to do. I give my hat off to them and their struggle, and good luck to you. And I hope you're able to bring this back, because it was such an iconic plane. I think this would almost be a symbol of the recovery for Ukraine, and that would be very nice to see, I think, for the whole world. Anyway, marks out of 10. I want to give it 9, but I feel that's a little bit generous. I'm going to say 8.5. It might be generous too, but I think I can't be harsh on it. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing's making me think, oh, that's going to be awful. I think it's going to go together okay. Don't know if that's correct or not, but I think 8.5 is where I'm at. I think that's fair. It's a huge kit. It's a bit pricey, but beautiful subject. And I think if you make a bit of effort with it, I think you'll end up with something that's quite stunning in your cabinet, to be honest. So there we go, 8.5 out of 10. I hope that seems fair to you. Thanks very much for watching. Please give us a thumbs up. Don't forget to smash that like button. And please, if you haven't subscribed already to the channel, please do so, and ding the notification bell if you have already. Subscribe, because you need to be sure to get an early warning when I'm loading up another one. I'm just going to kill my light a little bit because it's too bright. There we go. Thank you very much for joining me. I'm sure a lot of you that are watching this are got a bit of a heavy heart looking at this one because, you know, it's a subject that no longer exists. But let's all keep our fingers crossed and pray that that changes in the future, and the world returns to a more peaceful, happier place. I certainly hope so. I hope you enjoyed it, found it interesting to watch. Thanks for your attention. Please all stay safe, try and take care of yourselves, and until next time, thanks a lot, and bye for now.